Hello and a very warm welcome to the late-breaking F1 podcast presented by Harry Eade, Sam Sage, and me, Ben Hocking. For the first time in 2025, we're all in the same place. This is a bit professional, isn't it?
It's a different place. I think
Your living room's looking lovely, mate.
You know those curtains that everyone's slagged off? I just
Blocked up the wall.
honestly, I concreted the wall. I thought, make it green. So if you're not watching on YouTube, you want to come check this bad boy out.
I tell you what, I don't know how long we're going to stay here until someone realises we're trespassing, but we better get on with this.
We better, yeah. It's like we're professionals.
It's going to be ×2, folks, this episode.
Yeah, I don't feel right being here. This is far too much.
You look great in an armchair.
I love an armchair.
You feel at home?
Ben, you give off armchair energy.
Armchair vibes.
Armchair Ben, that's what we call it.
From Bennington.
We were talking very briefly before we started this episode of the journey that we've come on, and from our first what we called LB News back in 2016, which wasn't a podcast, but we used Skype, and it's a bit of a glow up.
It's a little bit better. I'm not a tiny box on the screen.
We were on our beds doing it as well.
Yeah, good times. Sam threw a Mars bar out the window.
It was a Kit Kat.
Oh, sorry.
Can you get the brand right? Sergio Perez was in our hearts even then.
Jonathan will remember. He's still crying about losing that Kit Kat.
Well, yeah, because it smashed his car up.
Right, let's get on with some F1. We're going to be playing Show Me the Options a little bit later on. We've got a top 5 of things we're looking forward to in 2025. So,
have you thought of any of them yet?
I did it on the train.
Well done.
If you haven't ordered,
got like a real list.
I'm in the same place. I can actually punch you in person.
Can get up and walk around the table.
Actually would. But we're going to start today with some comments from Andrea Stella about his lineup going into 2025, because he has outlined how McLaren will approach the situation should both Norris and Piastri find themselves fighting for the championship in 2025. Stella described the situation as having complications, but that they were complications already somewhat faced in 2024. And he said he and the drivers have always approached this in a cohesive way, and any solution needs to put the team first. Sam, he describes this as an opportunity rather than a problem. Is he right in saying that?
Yeah, 100%. If they find themselves from race one to be in such an advantageous position where they're not finishing with a 17th in a DNF, then they've kickstarting much better than previously. And if they've got a car that is leaving 2024 and entering 2025 with that same level of competitiveness where they could find themselves right at the front, either front row, pole position, top 4, whatever it might be, having both drivers there immediately should, in theory, make the journey to a championship much smoother than it was last year. I mean, it's set to be just as competitive. We know that the investment going into rival teams is looking to be minimal. We know that most are focusing on 2026 and that there'll be very little change. It very much gives off 2021 vibes in the sense that we're going to see a massive changing in those kind of regulations. So why would you spend big time on this championship? It's going to be very static. I imagine that having two drivers as talented as Norris and Piastri fighting right at the very front is a huge opportunity, especially for Mr. Marketing Man himself, Zach Brown, who wants to be on the camera as much as possible with his team, sponsors on the camera to show off that McLaren team as much as possible, and having two people fighting for the front. It's exactly what every F1 team wants. It is the perfect problem to have to mitigate. We saw it with Rosberg and Hamilton when we did our classic review in 2014. They led almost every Grand Prix, almost every single lap of that season. And yeah, it got feisty, but you remember it for being a fight between those two, and Mercedes were front and centre all of the time. So it's a perfect opportunity for them to continue to grow in this Goliath manner that McLaren have been pushing forward in the last couple of years.
Is Andrea right to focus on the positives here and see it as that opportunity rather than, oh God, I'm going to have to deal with these two next year?
The glass half full, not empty approach is the right way to be, but I think he's on hopium.
Oh no.
I think this is not this wishful thinking, but I think it's almost like a warning shot to the pair of them to be like, please don't cause me a problem next
Spain
year.
turn one, no. Spain turn one.
Yeah.
What a great call at that.
Oh, don't bring it up.
I think it's going to be great for them if they have both drivers, but we've seen how silly McLaren can be.
What are you talking about? Silly?
Yeah, I know.
But incredibly quick.
Very fast. Very silly.
Fast, but silly.
And And I think this, if they are both in contention for a title, there's no way they're not going to come across each other and trip over each other during the season. So yes, I think he's right to be optimistic about the year ahead. They've got two great drivers, but it's almost naive to think that it couldn't be a problem, because it could well be. We've seen it so many times before. You referenced Spain, so Hamilton, Rosberg. You go back further than that, you've got Senna, Prost. This is,
Vettel and Webber.
Vettel, huh?
Did they crash?
With Senna and Prost.
Famously never near each other on a racetrack, actually.
Do you know what? This is completely off topic. Yesterday, I watched a tiny bit of the Senna.
Oh, have you started it?
Well, no, I was just flicking through what the episodes were, and I went to the last episode because that's
a great place to start any TV program.
Yeah. Terrible.
You giving it a 0 out of 10?
Absolutely awful. Anyway,
no booms.
But anyway, yeah. So for Andrea Stella, I think he's right to go in with this approach. But I think if he's banking on this, then he might be a bit disappointed afterwards.
I think he's right to frame it this way and be positive about the situation rather than negative, because he would have witnessed last season the bad effect of what the opposite is, which is Red Bull. He doesn't want that. If he didn't want the problem, he could be in the same situation of that second driver not being able to contribute well enough. It isn't completely black and white in that it's not just it's an opportunity or it's a problem. A problem can have opportunity and an opportunity can have problems. It's not quite black and white. But I think he's right to be talking about it. I appreciate what you say, Harry, that it's maybe wishful thinking, but I'd rather he was open about it at this point rather than just pretend that it's not going to be a thing. At least he's being prepared in that sense. He also mentions in the quote that he's still the number one priority is getting a car that's good enough for both of them as well, which yes, that should be his number one priority, because all of this conversation becomes meaningless if that car has taken 3 steps back on what it was in 2024. And look, it's a lineup that has more experience, weirdly, as a team than 80% of the grid. We've spoken about how Alonso and Stroll is the only other team on the grid this season that is retaining the same lineup as they had at the beginning of last season. And unless Aston Martin have, really turned things around, they're probably not competing for the championship, which leaves Piastri and Norris as that lineup that, they should use that experience advantage over the competition rather than let it drag them down. Of course, as he refers to 2024, it wasn't the only time that it's not like it's a brand new conversation. We had Papaya Rules last year.
We have so much more of that, aren't we?
Yep. How do you think they will handle it if it becomes a situation this year, and what can they learn from 2024?
Stop faffing around on the radio.
They can't be stopped.
They can't be stopped.
Sorry, I just need to make that joke again for a second time because he didn't hear it the first.
The bird won't stop chirping. Silence the bird.
Campaign for the year sorted.
Silence the bird.
Hugh Bird's really annoyed.
Yeah, sorry, Hugh. Honestly.
So Sam.
Sorry, Sam. Honestly, just keep things short and snappy. Have a clear goal, clear alignment. I don't want obvious team orders here, but if you take your time into the season first, let things play out. Don't jump into race one and go, oh, both our drivers are fighting for the wing here. Don't start faffing around on the radio. Don't start over-communicating. Weirdly, I'll bring up that reference again of Canada 2014. The communication between each driver, Hamilton and Rosberg, was so open, so clear, that it almost actually avoided the need for team orders because it allowed the drivers to fight each other. But the teams were very, very clear on your teammate and your closest rival is doing X. So you need to do X. And it's okay, I know where I'm at. And the unwritten rule. You don't take your teammate off. Something that I think McLaren are going to have to try and mitigate is Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, I think, distinctly have incredibly different styles of approaching on-track battles. Lando Norris is fantastic at defending. He's had to be in a car that has been in that midfield. He's fought his way up into kind of an upper midfield car. He's done a brilliant job at kind of getting the most out of that car. But we've seen with his overtaking, especially around the likes of Max Verstappen, he is not as cutthroat or as ruthless in getting those moves done as someone like Oscar Piastri, who, when he has had to scythe his way through a field, just cruises up to the back, bam, down the inside, moves down, see you later, and on to the next one. But equally, I don't think we've seen Oscar Piastri have to defend utmost will to will. He's very good under pressure. He's soaked it up in a car that can perform, but it'll be really interesting in the same machinery to see how those two go toe to toe with each other. And that's when those team orders or potentially the radios are going to start coming into effect. Just don't badger on. Just don't sit there, yapper in their ear going on about it. Keep it clear, keep it concise, let them get on with it. They'll settle it out on track. I just don't want this to be decided on the pit wall.
I think you could argue with Baku obviously being one of Piastri's best weekends in 2024. It was made somewhat easier by the fact that Lando Norris was nowhere to be seen. He had to make his way back.
Arguably one of his worst weekends.
And I don't know, if Norris is in that fight, maybe McLaren do get a bit silly and they somehow give that win over to Charles Leclerc. Or
because that move that he delivered on Charles Leclerc, Piastri was phenomenal. It was that cutthroat move that I'm talking about. It demonstrates what Piastri can do if needed.
What can they learn from last season, Harry?
Many things. Well, the team radio, like you said, Sam, being slightly more decisive, not even slightly more decisive on the team radio with their decisions, with team orders, number one. You're right. I think you're right to point out they didn't really go wheel to wheel last year, so they can't really take anything from that, but that's probably going to be one to...
Italy lap one is probably
That's about it.
Brazil, when Piastri had to move out the way because Norris fell off 3 times.
I mean, yeah.
There was no direct... I mean, the move that Piastri put on Norris on Italy lap 1, Monza was filthy.
It wasn't, pulled his pants back up.
Come on, mate.
But yeah, I think that's what they've got to take away is the just decisiveness on team orders. Do you know what? They're actually giving off slightly Ferrari of old vibes. I want to say of old, like of 2022, 2020.
So less than 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, of old. Pre Freddie Vass is what I mean. But yeah, just not clear on a decision or what to do. Hungary being a prime example, Papaya Rules, etc. They're not setting it out clear enough what the rules of engagement are. And I think if they want to avoid being silly this year, they're going to have to do that soon, i.e. now.
Do you think they risk trying to be too nice to each one of their drivers because they don't want to risk losing them long term? Do you think they're too much of we want to make sure Oscar and Lando are happy rather than try and win? We want to win everything here, and that's the end game that we're going for.
I mean, the approach worked well enough last year to get the title. I think with Lando Norris, they've got him signed up longer term. I think Piastri's deal is up at the end of next year.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess there's a question mark about why I know it's not imminent, but why he hasn't extended on further yet. I think there is an element of keeping them both happy because they know that's one of their strengths is their lineup. You know, we ranked all of the lineups and everyone loved it. And they featured very strongly. Like they were first and second on most people's lists that we saw. And they don't want to lose that unnecessarily. So keeping them both happy is a way to do that. I have to say, like, in terms of last year, I completely agree with what you both say, by the way. They just need to be more decisive. And you can't be too hard and fast about the rules either, because each racing situation is so far different from another that it's difficult to put that in place. Like, so many factors change of where your drivers are on track, where your rivals are on track, what race it is in the season, how many races you've got to go, the points margin between the two drivers. You wouldn't be able to account for all of those situations. It'd be impossible. They just need to be more decisive in each individual situation. And you mentioned Hungary. The easiest way they could have avoided all of that was just not mess up in the first place. Like, they didn't need to do the pit stops the way around they did. Piastri could have stopped first, then Norris could have stopped, and they would have stayed first and second in the order that they were, and they don't have to worry about all of this. Or Lando Norris does actually have the pace to catch up to Piastri in that Grand Prix, and it's a legitimate on-track overtake. They need to be more like, ironically, they need to be more like Ferrari, but not of 2022, but of 2002, because whilst there were some controversial calls back then.
What's that?
Yeah, one or two,
I
yeah.
remember that.
You can't. One thing you couldn't say about Ferrari of that era was they're not very decisive, are they?
Yeah, valid.
You know what? I just wish they'd prioritise Schumacher once or twice. And I'm not suggesting like they should do that for either driver, but it's just I have more concern with McLaren doing things too late than too early. Put it that way.
Yeah, don't be Sebastian Vettel, Charles Leclerc, race 1 Ferrari, but don't go as far to be Schumacher, Barrichello, Ferrari. There's a nice middle ground that you could take there that seems fair.
I also think like they just need to take care as well with their two drivers because in their own ways, they might feel like McLaren owe them a little bit because with Lando Norris, it's like, great, I did everything I needed to do to get your constructor's title. Box ticked. Driver's title this year would be all right. And Piastri, he can claim, well, you know, I played second fiddle sometimes in 2024. Might not do that in 2025. So I think both of them could kind of make a case of, yeah, I might look out for myself a bit more this year versus last year.
I do see your point. I think it's fair, but I also think each driver individually has something that they also need to prove. Lando did a fantastic job. We're up against Verstappen, really, really tough. But if we're going to be honest and open with ourselves, I'm talking to you as well, Norris fans, he was not flawless. There were mistakes. There were areas to improve. He made things harder for himself than he needed to at certain stages. And the starts are an obvious one to bring up, but there were some consistency elements in that as well. And equally with Oscar Piastri. Started the season poorly. It was only his second year. Beginning, he just finished his first year at that point. Didn't get off to the best start, was further behind than he should have been. And he ended the season poorly, which is odd because he arguably had the best middle run of races than anyone. He was top of the field. So,
do you want a fun stat on that?
I would love a fun stat.
Oh, here we go.
This is proper anti-Sonoda fun fact here. So, if you take the first 6 races and the last 6 races, Lando Norris scored 178 points.
Don't tell me that the middle 8 races or whatever it is, he's also scored that many points.
Not quite, but first 6 and last 6. Norris scores 178, Piastri scores 96.
Right.
So Norris is ahead by 82.
It's a big gap.
Those 12. If you look at the middle 12 races, they both have exactly 196 points. No difference in the middle 12 races between them.
Wow. So if Piastri levels up at either side there.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So that's my point here that whilst they can go to the team and say, you know, we play ball, we got you what you needed, you won your team title, where's our driver's title? They also need to step up themselves. They also need to make sure that they are delivering at every single element because if McLaren are that dominant force, it's going to come down to on-track battles and strategy and we will see that garage dividing. And McLaren have almost become known for this ethos of kindness and all-together culture and one team, one dream. Very much a bit like Mercedes after Bottas joined. It became a bit like we're all in it together. One team, one dream.
Unifying force.
Yes. Valtteri Bottas does bring all together.
Yeah.
I will do a lot of things for that man.
Well, okay.
And we don't need to hear them. I mean, it actually lines up with our first break.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about Max Verstappen and the potential of a race ban hitting him in the early part of 2025. Welcome back, everyone. Max Verstappen, he starts this 2025 season on 8 penalty points, and you need 12, as Kevin Magnussen found out in 2024, to get a race ban. None of his points will be removed until the British Grand Prix. So he's going to be on a minimum of 8 for quite a long time to start this 2025 season. Helmut Marko said he needs to start being careful. Max Verstappen doesn't agree. He said, I won't change my driving style because of this. Is he right not to alter his approach, even with the potential of a race ban with a couple of more incidents?
I mean, I don't know if anyone's noticed. He's quite good at the F1.
He's pretty good.
Famous and quite successful. Has won a few titles now, got quite a few race wins. So wouldn't shift things around too much if I was Max Verstappen. He is good everywhere. If he's got the dominant car, bye-bye, Max is gone. If he hasn't got the dominant car and he needs to fight it out on the track, his car positioning is some of the best I've ever seen. I go back to Kota because we were there And we were overlooking the end of Sector 2 all the way through to basically the all right, the McConaughey corner. That is the long right-hander in Austin. And he had that fight with Lando lap after lap after lap. And that McLaren was distinctly faster. But the way he kept positioning that car to stop the overtake being made and almost force Lando into that off-track move that they both made, right or wrongly, was phenomenal, the way he held him up for as long as he did. So whilst he does need to be careful of crashing, breaking the rules, Max Verstappen has always been brilliant at going, I know that this is the exact line in the rule book. I'm going to drive and use that to my exact nth degree, and I will only drive to the line in the rule book. And you heard him. He said, until I've been punished for these actions, i.e. the defence on Norris, why won't I keep doing it? Why would I change what I'm doing? Because technically, it's within the rules. They alter the rules, they change the punishments. I would be surprised if we see any more Verstappen dive bombing where he forces drivers 6-7 car lengths off track like we saw with in Mexico against Norris. But I wouldn't be.
He avoids that.
I think that's the only thing he cuts out.
Okay.
I think with everything else, he will be just as feisty, just as ruthless. And why shouldn't he be? It's a recipe for success. It's proven even when he's not in a leading car, it gets him the results he needs. So unless all of Formula One rapidly changes between the end of 2024 and the start of 2025, I'm not sure much needs to alter for him.
What do you think? Does he need to alter his approach?
No. Unless, I know it was rumoured at the end of last year that the drivers want, the rules to be set out clearly before the start of the season, and that unless that changes how the regulations are written, then no, because as you said, Sam, he's quite good at the F1, and 9 times out of 10, we don't necessarily agree with it, but 9 times out of 10, he's not punished because he's within the rules. Mexico being the 10th time where it wasn't really within the rules.
Just a step too far.
So if that's the only, of the rest of the time, he can survive all the way to Silverstone if he's, going to get away with it that amount. So I don't see him changing. I don't think he should change because, again, don't agree with it necessarily, but he's driving to the rules. And also, if he did change, it's almost like kind of Senna-esque or Schumacher-esque, where he's now got this like reputation, almost aura, as the kids might say, about him, that a driver will probably think twice. Not all of them, but most drivers will probably think twice about making a move on Verstappen. You could probably even see it in Lando Norris's head when he's trying to make a move last year, especially with the championship on the line. He's not sure necessarily of what Max is going to do, and that alone makes him quite difficult to overtake. So I think for him to change, it would be a mistake anyway. But having watched Max Verstappen for a few years now, he is allergic to change. Have you seen the post that F1 did about his arrival when he arrives into the paddock each race? What he's wearing each race. They posted it yesterday.
Is it the same thing?
Same thing.
Every single time?
Every time. He's just wearing the Red Bull top, cap, jeans.
As a man who is on the spectrum,
Appreciate that.
That comfortable level of,
me.
Yeah, thank you, Max, for delivering that comfort level, because my guy.
Abu Dhabi, he goes for the move on Piastri. He gets a penalty for that and penalty points. Does he do that first race of the season, second race of the season?
Well, no, because that was a man driving with no championship to win at that point. If he's winning, we've seen it. He's come back from 17th or whatever on the grid at Spa, and he watches lap 1. He's just driving very, very conservatively. Not even conservative.
It's clinical.
But like judging everything. There's no dive bombs. Abu Dhabi, he's just there for the banter at that point. He doesn't care. Oh no, I've spun. Oh, I'll carry on. Never mind.
You know it because he apologised to Piastri after that incident.
Well, exactly. He's like, yeah, well, my bad.
And do you know what? Fair play to him for getting out of the car and going, I'll muck that up. Sorry.
That's on me, but I don't care.
That's on me, but I'm also a champ, so these things happen.
Move of world champion. Yes, it was.
Big up to all those up there with world champs for their game.
Nice fact there, Oscar. Good work. Yeah, I agree with you both. I think Verstappen thrives on his style and also kind of what you were saying, Harry, his reputation and how it precedes him. Others, they fear him. And as soon as you compromise on your style of racing because you're looking at penalty points, that aura kind of goes away, right? At least a little bit. So because this is one of the reasons why, outside of his or inspiring pace, because that's one of the reasons why he is as successful as he is. He needs to keep doing that, even if it results in him taking a race ban, because there is a case to say, well, if the championship is closer this year because Red Bull don't have that head start in the first 6 or 7 races, Verstappen might need 24 races rather than 23 to get it done. I get that. But I still think even if it does result in a race ban, he shouldn't alter his style, because people will just remember it.
I mean, you're right to bring up last season. Look how close it was throughout the whole of through the year. You could still take a race off and win it. It literally wouldn't matter.
Can't wait for him to get a race ban. Welcome back, Daniel Ricciardo.
Could you imagine? Oh, God. He'd do some funny actor. Turn up in like all of Max's gear with like a helmet on or something. He'd be like, I'm back.
The top cheeks.
I didn't go anywhere. I just stepped aside.
Ricardo and Perez have put out like a joint social post that we were asked to do this. We both said no.
Auntie Tsunoda will step in.
God, yeah, that would be a bit of a reshuffle. I think like maybe if you get to, let's say, 1 or 2 races before the British GP, then maybe he very slightly adjusts what he's doing. Like he doesn't go for a move knowing that he only needs to wait out 1 more race before some points actually go off his license. Fernando Alonso's in a little bit of a similar situation to start the year off. I think some of his points go off earlier than Verstappen's do.
He's going to get a race ban just to get the clean sheet for 2026.
Oh, you reckon?
No, he'll do it. He'll do it to miss a sprint weekend.
I don't want to do this.
It's like, next one is sprint. Well, who can I crash into? Kevin Magnussen's in their corner, both going, now completely cut the corner and don't brake.
Question is, how would Aston Martin make sure that Drogovic still doesn't race the car?
Who else can we bring back?
Literally anyone.
Yeah, literally.
Stoffel Van Dorn.
Big up Stoff.
Waffle.
I miss Stoffel Van Dorn. Should others try and take advantage of the fact that Verstappen is close to a race ban?
You need to. Max Verstappen, as we've already mentioned, he's an aura-filled man. He's
3 times.
I'll make it the hat trick. He's aura, bro. No, that's it. We're done. The podcast is over. Thanks, guys. He's a threatening guy. He's fearful, and he's so talented that you have to, when you're coming up against an all-time great, you have to exploit any weakness that's available to them. The Achilles heel of Max Verstappen might just be he's in a world title fight. It is going down to the wire, and it's the race before one they think they can capitalize on. Take advantage, make him so close that he's got to back out for once and ensure that actually you've got the upper hand. This is a perfect situation where if you have got teammates like Piastri and Norris, and let's say Piastri has a stinker at the start of the year, he's not in that title fight, but Norris is leading the way. You put Piastri all over Verstappen and you go, oh, you're going to hit me. Oh, you might hit me here. And he takes a race ban and Norris gets another free hit at a possible race win without Verstappen even involved. You've got to think tactically, strategically about how to get the best out of your drivers while removing Max Verstappen from the equation, because we keep hearing the whole, he's Thanos and he's inevitable. Max Verstappen will always appear. You're going to get him gone. You're going to remove him from the equation entirely. And if that's a way of doing it, take advantage.
Should they take advantage of that potential race ban?
Yeah, I think so. I also think there's obviously going for moves that he might, he's not going to jump out the way of them, but he might think twice about. I think there's also, if they can get into his head and make him have a Mad Max race, like a Hungary, or
just put Hamilton on turn 1 of Hungary.
Well, yeah, just show him Hamilton's face.
Oh, no, he's going to keep hitting the Mercedes. You'll probably think that Hamilton's a nut.
Poor Antonelli.
Antonelli's like, it's not me. No.
Anti-Mario. Yeah. It's not me.
It's not me.
It's not me.
Poor Kimmy. No, don't do it. It's not me. I'm not Lewis.
But if they can, get into his head somewhat or wind him up over a race weekend, that's where he's going to get angry and start doing silly stuff like Hungary with Hamilton or in Mexico with Norris, and that's where the potential of some more points on his license come in. So definitely it's one they should be bearing in mind. It'll be real banter if he does get a race ban.
I just can't wait to see who would actually drive that car.
But also the race ban, and then the race he comes back, he will annihilate everyone.
You can go penalty points, huh? DC steps into the car.
Probably take a look at Verstappen's sim racing calendar to see if there's anything that lines up. Oh, it's a 24-hour race on the same weekend.
I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
Race.
Daytona 24 is happening about now, so it'll be Le Mans around Silverstone.
I think others really should take advantage of this because, to an extent, like to beat Max Verstappen, you have to beat him at his own game, and Verstappen is almost the blueprint of how you do what we're talking about. He did it pretty much all of the second half of last season, where he was getting into situations side by side with Lando Norris, attacking Lando Norris, defending against Lando Norris, and he knew that he could afford a crash way more than Lando Norris could because Verstappen was the one with the points advantage, and he was using the situation of the championship to his benefit. And now I think other drivers need to do the same thing of, well, we all start at zero. If we're side by side, actually I've got 2 penalty points or I've got no penalty points. If something goes really horribly wrong, I'll take 2. Like, it's fine. You can't, because then suddenly you're very close to a race ban. So I think others would be foolish not to. Before we head off into a second break, I realised after I was cleaning out the other day and I didn't know what to do with the 5 stars.
Oh, for God's sake.
Found a bit of change as well.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know where that was going.
Down the back of the sofa.
That's absolutely had me. He sent me there. I had no idea where that was going. I thought, what's he cleaning out?
Oh, these lovely little British pounds. What can I do with these?
There were a couple of cents down there as well, US dollars.
Surely.
Yeah, you know what? I found a lot of different currencies.
Really?
All currencies apply to what we're about to say. What can I do?
What, with your stars?
No, the
No.
stars I've done with the stars.
Your
What do I do
money,
with the
man.
pounds?
Oh.
Your extra cash, your
crikey.
extra do-re-mi.
What do I do
You
with the
don't rate me.
Olga?
Is this the sound of Patreon I can hear? If you go into your little description down below, you just scroll on down there, dig down below. You'll see that there is a Patreon link. If you've enjoyed this cacophony of brilliance in Formula One world, then there's some more that you can have. And if you think these adverts that come on that I've got to skip all the time, every 20 minutes or so that Ben goes that ad break, that won't affect you no more. No. Because everything on Patreon is ad-free. 2 extra episodes, including all of the original episodes as well. Beer with Breaking, which we're about to film, and a classic history race, which you get to vote on. You get to choose, plus a birthday shout out at the end of each month, depending on what month your birthday is, of course, unless you weirdly have a birthday every month thing. How does that work? Get in touch. Let me know. It's actually really, really affordable. We understand money is hard for a lot of people, but if you're sat there thinking, cup of coffee a month on Patreon and Late Breaking, I can assure you we'll give you that caffeine kick that you need. And it massively supports the show. So for everyone that does, thank you. If you consider it, thank you. If you can't afford it, you just listen to the show. We get it. But thank you anyway for your support.
Yeah.
But we like you less.
It's just Harry that likes you less.
Very specifically, Harry. Like you say, we're doing Beer with Breaking directly after this. You'll want to tune in. That is the top tier on our Patreon. You want to tune in because right now we've got 3 beers and nothing to open with. You're going to have to...
It's 45 minutes trying to open a beer.
No beer.
You
No
can't
beer
do
with
it.
Breaking. It's going to be a struggle.
It will. And that historic race review that you mentioned, the 2014 Canadian Grand Prix, that was a real pleasure to go back and watch. So,
It was.
Yeah, and absolutely encourage you to
Hoagies.
tune in. The word hoagies comes up multiple times. Right, should we take our second break? On the other side, we're going through our top 5 things we're looking forward to in 2025. Welcome back, everyone. Third part of today's episode. We're going to be positive. We're going to be happy because there's plenty to look forward to in 2025 in the F1 world. And we're going to give you a top 5 list of what we're looking forward to. Might well be some crossover on these lists, but hey, we're being positive, so you can't have a go at us. Harry, what is number goddamn 5 on your list?
It's in a list.
Well done.
You're welcome, mate. Number 5 on my list, I've put Adrian Newey at Aston Martin. Now, I know he's probably not going to make a great deal of difference for the 2025 car, but I'm just already excited about that prospect. And who knows? He's joining in March. I'm sure he can have a little bit of input on what's happening this year. It won't be straight away. I still have visions of him walking in and immediately seeing the designs in car going,
Good Lord.
no. Whipping out like a napkin with next year's car on it.
My bad, I thought we were designing an F1 car.
What a tractor.
That's really savage.
You just roast everyone.
Sorry, is this a Scania lorry?
But yeah, that's an exciting storyline for this year, despite the fact that we probably won't see the the fruits of his labour straight away. That's still a big one to look forward to, I think.
5 for you?
5 for me is Rookie Wars, which I've dubbed
Teammate Wars, the sequel.
Correct. Much better version. We've got a lot of rookies. Last year, we had almost no movers at all throughout the season. Of course, we had some mid-season replacements, but we've got a lot of juniors stepping into Formula One this year. And I always find it really fascinating to see kind of who sinks, who swims, who can come to the level that Formula One requires so quickly. And even in our most recent YouTube video, when we did our teammate rankings of the best teammate lineups, the amount of difference of opinions of, Behrman's overhyped, or anyone's better than Stroll, or Hadjar is actually much better than you think. It's clearly a very contradictory conversation point that a lot of people want to weigh in on. I'm fascinated to see who makes it to that level required in Formula One. And I think because of the way the cars are going to be set up this year, we're going to see a lot of crossover.
We've already spoken about the team that I've got at number 5, but McLaren is my 5. I'm really intrigued to see what we get from them this year. Like, are they going to kick on more than they did in 2024? Obviously, what they did last year was good enough for a Constructors' Championship, but with potentially renewed efforts from other teams around them, will they be able to hold on to that crown? Like, it's one thing getting to the top, it's another thing staying there. And look, Oscar Piastri has the potential to kick on. And we've got Lando Norris, who also has the potential to kick on as well. And it's going to be interesting to see if Piastri makes that next step from season 2 to season 3, whether that's good enough to be on a level playing field with Lando Norris, or actually will Norris kick on even more based on his poor start, sometimes his iffy will-to-will racing. If he sorts a couple of those out, then maybe he can kick on even more. And I know we've already mentioned 17th in the DNF from Bahrain a couple of years ago, and it was no way near that bad last year, but they still started slow. And not only compared to Red Bull, who pretty much did a clean sweep of the first 6 races apart from Australia, but they were comfortably behind Ferrari in the first quarter of last year as well. So if they're able to start somewhere where they were in the middle to end of 2024, they're going to be tricky to stop. So I'm intrigued to see that. Number 4 for you, Harry.
I've put Carlos Sainz at Williams.
Yeah.
Despite the photo he put on his Instagram the other day where he looked dead behind the eyes outside the Williams factory.
It's cold.
We're just like, it's so cold, and why am I here?
Why is it all blue?
Why have I ended up here?
He's got a tough job as well. He's the only driver for Williams this year.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Alex Albon, who?
The number 23 has been banned from their social media.
But despite the fact that, he did, the lights were on and no one was home, this is a big opportunity for Carlos. And I know this year, again, is probably the building year. They're looking towards 2026 as their main goal. But it's, I think, establishing himself straight away versus Alex Albon. And then this is a big project for him. Not many drivers get these opportunities. And he could have the opportunity to obviously he's got to rely on the team making a good car, but there's a lot of input, a lot of expertise he can bring from Ferrari, and I think it's a really crucial year for him. So I'm looking forward to see how that goes.
Number 4, I've got Rookie Wars. I didn't actually write down Rookie Wars, but I've got the same thing.
Can we get the X Factor guy to do that? Rookie Wars!
Rachel Adedeji!
It's also deaf and producer Kirsty.
Yeah, sorry, Kirsty. You would think with the fact that we've got like 3 proper rookies, as in proper rookies that have never done a race before.
I'm a rookie. No taying rookie.
James Hunt would wipe the floor with all these rookies.
He was never a rookie.
He got out of the car and absolutely
He came
smash
in
him.
10 years experienced.
I was born behind the wheel. Came out in an F1 car. It's like a screaming. He went vroom vroom.
Okay, there are 3 proper rookies. None of them are James Hunt, and there are like 3 somewhat rookies. Of Doohan's only done 1 race, Behrman's only done 3, and even Liam Lawson's kind of only done 2 like stints of like 6 races.
It's about half a season.
Yeah, exactly. So you would think, based on the law of averages, one of them's got to be pretty good, and in all likelihood, more than one. But it's going to be really intriguing to see. I think. Are any of them like special? Like, do any of them go beyond good and great? Because a lot of hype around Antonelli, a lot of hype around Behrman. We've got the F2 champion. We've got the F2 runner-up. I think it's got the potential as a rookie class to be the best rookie class since Norris, Russell, Albon, Leclerc.
That feels almost like the golden standard for rookie classes.
Yeah, I'm talking, like 2018, 2019, when those 4 drivers sort of came through. I feel like this has the potential, because after 2019, is it safe to say that Piastri's only really been the good rookie?
What, Tsunoda?
If Tsunoda's second.
Yeah, Zhou is definitely not a contender in that group.
But Latifi.
My point has been made.
Sargent, yeah.
Should also throw Gasly in the first group. I realised as well, that sort of 2018 group. So I am really looking forward to seeing, how they compare against their more experienced teammates in most instances. Third place, Harry.
I've gone for
Hang on a minute.
Rookie War.
Yes!
I didn't give a 4th place.
You don't get a 4th place.
Oh,
You
okay.
said this before.
That's how it works, is it?
Fine, I'll try
Harry
my.
said third. I'll do second, then we'll go back to your 4th.
Oh, that makes sense, sure.
What's your 4th, Sam?
My apologies. What have you got?
It's not even new. It's staging new. It has to mark. He didn't get to really make a car at Red Bull. I know obviously they were fantastic, but he was very much becoming a consultant at Red Bull, and there was a team around the car. And I just feel like we're going to get the old maestro really stuck in properly at Aston Martin. We'll see the napkins come out as we keep mentioning the real life drawings where he'll just delve into the ether of atoms and it'll just create something in front of him because he does seem to have that ability. But that's what I wanted to say. All right, we can get back onto the real list that people care about, not mine.
Rookie War.
Yeah, here we go.
Maybe we should Craig Charles to do it. Craig Charles against Rookie Wars.
I'd actually written the next
Number 2, I've got
generation.
to kill a lot.
Matilda.
I'd actually written the next generation rather than Rookie Wars. But you made all my points, Ben. This is probably the most exciting bunch of rookies. What's the name for a bunch of rookies?
Oh, an unkindness of rookies.
A school?
School of rookies. But it's probably the most exciting group of new drivers into the sport we've had since that 2018 period. And it just sort of happens like that. We get like an influx of them like we had in 2018. This feels like the next batch of them.
I think they'll all get off the school coach together.
Yeah.
All the others will be stood there like, oh, God.
Fernando's still here.
This is probably the steward marshalling them out. Come on, kids.
What's Lewis Hamilton doing on that bus? He's not me.
It's a Kimmy.
Oh, no.
Max is already running at him.
Not funny at all.
No, I'm a Kimmy Antonelli.
But yeah, not much more to add than that. I'm just quite excited to see how this group perform because they are the future of the sport in the same way we're now watching Russell, Leclerc, Norris at the front. These guys, I mean, Antonelli may well be at the front immediately, but
They will be in a Ferrari, mate.
yeah. Another minute. But these guys are going to be at the front very soon, I think. So, yeah.
Are we old now?
Yes.
Well, just like generally, are we old?
Yeah, we hit that line.
Yeah.
We're older than the majority of the F1 grid at this point.
I saw something. George Russell is now in the older half of drivers.
Oh.
How old is he? 28? 27?
He's born in 98.
Oh, God.
So
It's only 26, becoming 27.
Yeah.
He looks older than me, though. By older, I mean just more of a man. Got his life together.
Mature is the word you're looking for.
I went to Starbucks this morning and was unsure whether I should get something called a berry pot or if I should have a sausage sandwich. And George Russell is out there owning the world.
Didn't get any points on anything, did you?
What's this about a franchise situation? Where's my star points? Sorry, number 3. I've got Hamilton and Ferrari as a whole. I'm really excited for the Leclerc-Hamilton duo. If the car's there from the off, if they do kickstart 2025 in a similar vein to 2024, but they just don't do the Canada issue, there's a real chance that duo, if Hamilton feels comfortable in that car, could really be something quite special, and we could have a real dynamic duo fighting in that team. So I'm very excited for Ferrari. In the same vein that you were excited for McLaren that you mentioned, I think that there could be something truly special there. We could get a lineup for the ages. So fingers crossed that Hamilton, one, likes the car, and two, the car is actually worth doing something, because Leclerc's going to deliver regardless at the moment. He's just on such good form.
I feel like I've cheated a bit because I've gone quite vague. I'm excited about Adrian Newey at Aston Martin, but I'm also excited for a lot of what's to come in 2026. So I've just gone with sort of 26 prep, which includes Adrian Newey moving across and seeing what changes he instills at Aston Martin, but also Cadillac and Audi. And we've got, I know the Audi driver lineups settled, but there could be, we know Jonathan Wheatley's got an earlier start date, I believe. He's
in there pretty soon, right?
Red Bull let him go early.
Yeah,
I think he started beginning of April. They were just like, well, then off you go. But I've got some more notice. No, off you go.
No, go away.
I heard it's harvest season because it's wheat.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's good, though, isn't it?
Nice.
Sure. But I don't know. I'd expect some more hires to come from them, and then you've got Cadillac. We've got 2 new drivers to come in for Cadillac that we don't yet know. Plus, we should again have some more staff moves. So we'll get a clearer idea of the regulations as we go through the year as well. So I think just overall excitement for the new regulations is third for me. Second, Harry.
Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari. In the same way, and I'm still not ready for it because it's almost like it's
When
not,
will you be ready for it? Like, at what point will it be fine?
When I see him in a Ferrari overall.
Race 1.
I don't know if will it.
Maybe the end of the year.
That man's having a week, by the way. I saw him out with. I saw him down the road. Yeah, with Sofia Vergara out having coffee or whatever it was.
Lewis Hamilton, he can probably do
that man.
Things.
He's having a great time. He did the classic thing that he does where he wings a race and he stands there with his hand on his chest, and that's how he was saying goodbye to her at the coffee shop. And I'm like, winging a race, Sofia Vergara. 2 things I will never experience in my life. And there's an image of him.
And say goodbye to someone at a coffee shop.
Yeah, I'm just shouting at Starbucks. Where's my stars?
What you guessed is left.
Get me on that board again. Where's my stars? And I saw him with an image with about 27 suitcases rolling into
I did see that one.
And someone went, that's 3 outfits for Lewis.
Yeah, he's arrived in Maranello. Look, I know it's not the same, but this to me feels as momentous and as significant as when Schumacher came back from retirement to go to Mercedes. Now, I know Hamilton's not been retired, obviously, for the past 3 years, but maybe somewhat absent in the
versus the norm. Yeah,
he just stepped aside.
The sport. Yeah, he just stepped aside for a bit. And this feels like the comeback almost. He's a different team. It's that different to what we're used to that I'm just really looking for.
Where do you think it ranks on the biggest moves in F1 history?
That's up there.
I think it might be the one.
It could be. I think the Schumacher to Mercedes comeback is pretty up there. Hamilton to Ferrari might top it. If it goes well, then it will.
It might. Yeah, I think it might be number 1.
I think it could be number 1. I saw a list the other day, so I bring it up. It was 9th.
9th?
Yeah.
Of biggest moves?
The biggest moves of all time. It was 9th.
To be fair, Mansell to McLaren for a few races in 1995 probably tops it, right?
Well, it was big enough because he couldn't fit in the car.
Oh, all about the moustache.
Yeah, it's just the moustache.
I can't get it in the helmet.
Just shave, Nigel.
Never.
What? Second place for me, I've kind of just extended that on a little bit to say the Ferrari lineup, because I'm just intrigued to see how Hamilton does versus Leclerc. I mean, I'm intrigued by everything Hamilton to Ferrari related, just how he integrates with the team and Freddie Vass and everything else. But I'm just so intrigued to see, like, Charles Leclerc, who we know is operating at the top of his game, is great in qualifying, was one of the best drivers of last season. Can Hamilton, who Leclerc's an established force at Ferrari now, he's been there a number of years, can Hamilton live with him? And can Hamilton beat him? I don't know the answer, and we're going to have to give an answer in Teammate Wars in about a month's time. But I'm just intrigued to see which way it goes, and how it is early on, I guess, as well, because it might be a case of Hamilton does eventually get up to the pace of Leclerc, but maybe it doesn't happen in the first 6 races. Maybe it happens from race 1, like we saw when he joined McLaren in his first ever race. We don't know, and I'm interested to see. Number two.
Number two. I've got a livery reveal at the O2.
Oh,
I'm really intrigued by this event. It could be an absolute mess. We might need to call in the mop and bucket to sweep it all up because it's that much of a mess. Or this ends up being the formula that we do things for many years to come. But this is the formula. Thank you, Will I Am. We all know I love liveries. I love the way that the cars look. I'm really hopeful that because it is an event, they might try and do something. I'm going to be so disappointed the day after when it's more carbon fibre than paint. I will rant about it on the show, so stay tuned. But I'm really excited to see how it unfolds. If anyone wants to send me a ticket, please. There's a PO box in the description.
When you're talking about livery reveal, I'm assuming you mean 9 teams, not 10.
Of course, because Alpine will just turn up with a grey.
Well, we've already seen the Alpine one, haven't we?
Oh, yes, of course. They've gone for the pink again, clearly, apparently.
I'm not buying it.
Flavio,
his little video. It's also exactly the same design. It was leaked 2 years ago.
It's actually the 2022 car. Just no one's told Flav. There's a picture of it.
Hey, it's quicker.
That's true.
What are you most excited about in 2025?
I had written down Red Bull versus McLaren versus Mercedes versus Ferrari because I think I've said this already. I think 2025 has the potential to have a 4-team fight for a championship. Which, if that does happen, this could be an all-timer. I just the way, as you said, Sam, no one's going to invest too much in this year because of 2026. The field has already closed up significantly, even in 2024, especially versus 2023. And I think, we had the potential's there it happened on occasions last year, but I think we've got the potential for this to happen at every race. I put Mercedes last on my list because who knows what they'll turn up with.
They literally don't understand how a car works
anymore. But if they can make that car work at all tracks, which is the aim of F1, then it could be a classic because I think Verstappen is obviously Verstappen. We've talked about Ferrari with Leclerc and Hamilton, McLaren with the great drivers, and Russell, who was on top form.
And Lewis Hamilton next to Russell.
And Lewis Hamilton number 2 next to...
Oh, no, it's not to me.
It's not to me. But with Antonelli next to Russell, it could be an all-timer. So that's the main thing. I'm really excited for this year.
Number 1.
Bingo. I'm not going to...
Bango.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Bish, bash, bosh, real good gosh. The season could be tasty. If we've got that equal performance, if everyone does turn up and they are within a tenth of each other, we could have 2012 vibes, and I think it could go all the way through the season and not stop like 2012 kind of did, where it then became a lot more packed into a couple of different teams. 7 incredible drivers. Kimi Antonelli could make that an 8th incredible driver. I think Lawson will do a very good job. We'll have to see if he's actually better than what Perez was delivering. We'll have to see. But it's going to be an absolute mega season. So if it's your first year in Formula One where you caught the tail end of it, be prepared for an absolute whirlwind, I think.
Do you know who would be happiest about that 4-team battle?
Who's that, mate?
Aston Martin. Because if all 4 of those teams, they will be desperate to get out early and focus more on 2026, like as soon as they can. And if none of them can do it because they're all goading each other to the championship and they're focusing a bit too much on 25, Aston Martin might be in a good spot.
Fernando's there with the smuggest little face in his helmet.
In 11th,
No points for me until next year.
I've gone with... It's similar to what you've said, like last year of regulations. I've focused a bit more on the Drivers' Championship battle of Verstappen defending his title. Like, how is it going to work if he doesn't get that buffer early on in the season like he did in 2024? Because, and I've said this before in the episode, that I think so much of his mentality down the stretch was based on that points margin. He did such a phenomenal job of defending the points margin in a car that wasn't capable towards the end of the season. But if that car continues on to the start of this season, how is he going to fare defend? Like, how would he do chasing a championship as well? Like, we might see that situation if McLaren start well. So I just think there are a number of ways this could go. As you said, there could be as many as 4 teams in this fight. And just what that means for Verstappen going for another title, can't wait to see it. Okay, let's take our final break on this episode. On the other side, we're playing Show Me the Options.
Way.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final part of today's episode. And it's time for Show Me the Options.
Shut me my options!
To improvise a little bit without the soundboard, but
It's real bleak when there's no soundboard.
I miss you, soundboard.
no, we don't at the moment. Don't miss it at all.
Clickle, crackle, and pop.
Show me the options. 6 questions. I will ask these two in turn to give me a number, and they will definitely remember the numbers that they've already given. And if they're confident about the answer, they can go for it. Give me the answer, and if they're right, they get 2 points. But if they want a little bit more help, they can say those 4 magic words. Show me the options.
Way.
We usually do that. And they'll get 3 options. And of course, one of them will be right. And if you get that right, you get 1 point. Sam, what number would you like?
Number 5, please, Ben.
Number 5. How many drivers won a race in 2020?
Oh, that's not me.
For you.
5.
Can you list them? Not for a point, obviously, but
No. Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Leclerc, Vettel?
I'd have said Perez and Gasly. They both won in 2020.
Gasly did, yeah.
And Perez was Sakir. Was that 2020?
Oh, yeah.
It's even more than that then, crikey.
And then the other 3 you started the list with, but it is 5.
Oh, way!
2 points for
Ferrari drivers win in 2020.
No, Leclerc didn't.
Oh, I thought,
Ferrari was.
yeah.
No, I can't say what I wanted to say.
Bit
Ferrari wasn't very good.
bit bad.
Engine was real slow for some reason, but
Oh,
yeah.
Compared to 2019, it was, yeah.
weird. Such a drastic change.
Anyway, Harry, what number would you like?
Number 6, please.
If you can get the first one, honestly.
I already forgot what Sam said.
Right, so we've had 5 and 6 so far.
Good.
Where was Danny Kvyat's last race for Red Bull?
The Russian GP.
It was the Russian
Yeah.
GP. You're absolutely
'Cause
right.
He hit Vettel twice.
The torpedo
Yes.
had a double strike.
I've never seen that. I don't think I've ever seen that. Hit them once, broke their car, but not enough. So I hit them again.
I'll go round
If
again.
you're going to do something, do it properly.
Yeah.
Like,
Properly.
Yeah.
I respect that. I also, Danny Kvyat, he did get a podium the race before that as well.
You can't say it was the wrong decision given who replaced him, but he was hard done by.
Yeah.
Danny.
He also beat Daniel Ricciardo the year before.
What else did Max Verstappen take?
What was it?
No, when-
I was gonna say as well. Do you see Grosjean and Kvyat are in the same like Daytona?
Oh no! No!
Have they crashed already?
Someone hasn't done their history.
Only joking, of course. Right, great start. We're at 2-0. Sam, we're back to you. What number would you like?
I'll have number 1, please, Ben.
Oh, number 1. Who is the only driver to compete in 300 F1 races and not win a driver's title?
Oh, crikey! Not win a title. Mark Webber?
It is not Mark Webber.
Shucks.
Any other?
No.
Rubens Barrichello.
Rubino.
Rubens Barrichello.
Ribena.
The immortal words of Chris Tarrant, though. I had to take your first answer.
You do.
So,
Chris Tarrant shout out. Excellent work.
love Chris Tarrant. Well, we don't want to give you that one, though.
Tedious link.
Harry, back to you. What number do you like?
Number 2, please.
Number 2. Who is the only driver to finish 3rd in the Drivers' Championship 3 times?
Surprised this wasn't question number 3.
That would be good.
A lot of 3s going on there.
Yeah.
SMTO, please, Ben.
Way!
Daniel Ricciardo, Mark Webber, Robert Kubica.
Mark Webber.
It is Mark Webber. You got the wrong question.
Ah,
Yes, Mark Webber is the right answer, which means we're at 3-2 to Harry. And back to you, Sam. What do you like?
I'm just going to let Kirsty know that she might want to remove her headphones.
Oh,
Please hold callers. 3!
Pick number 3, my lord. Which team did Emerson Fittipaldi win his first championship with?
Shirt. Show me my options.
Your options are Lotus, Tyrrell, and BRM.
I'll go Lotus, please, man.
It is Lotus. Well done. He won his second title for McLaren, but his first one was with Lotus.
Big old Emo.
Big M.
Big M.
The Fitty.
Big sideburns.
Big Powdy.
Now the most important question
Lewis.
of all.
No.
Nah. Biggest question of the night.
Number 4.
Oh, he's on it.
Straight in it.
I'm surprised he didn't dab for that.
Oh, dear.
Who is the youngest driver to start on the front row of the grid?
The youngest driver to start on the front row. Show me my options.
Way.
Your options are Max Verstappen, Jaime Alguersuari,
Famously. Alguersuari on.
Obviously.
and Lance Stroll.
Now that is a trio of people you would never expect in a bar together.
Fair.
Youngest driver to start on the front.
Unless Alguersuari was DJing, of course.
Yeah, great DJ.
I feel like this is a trick question, but I'm going to go Verstappen. It's Stroll, isn't
It
it?
is.
God damn.
The youngest driver to start on the front row of the
When
grid.
was he on the... Because I was trying to think 2020.
Turkey, obviously.
But he wasn't that... He was pretty old by then.
Baku.
I can't remember the year, but I think he started on the front row of the Italian Grand
yeah,
Prix.
it's the-
He didn't qualify there, but I think
penalties.
someone got a penalty and he started second. But I don't remember which.
2017.
Yeah,
These are the questions we live for.
Yeah. I knew you were
But yeah.
trying to trick me there.
Lance Stroll was the youngest driver to start on the front row of the grid, which means after all that, 3-all draw.
I'll
We've
take it.
Wasted your time once again, folks.
Yeah, a lot of draws recently.
Oh dear.
That's about it. I don't really want to end the episode because as soon as we end the episode, this all goes away and we go back to.
We put the window back in the
Yeah.
living room.
That's true. I'll call the construction the construction crew back in. To the lovely man that does the statistics on how many games I lose a year. You better be going down these draws. I don't think I've won one yet, but I've drawn a few.
Draws are noted, don't
You have
you?
one. You've definitely won one. Weren't we like 1-all or something? Maybe we are 1-all.
Maybe. I'll have a look.
Man with the stats, please. let
Make
us
it
know.
count.
I think the rule is actually you get this space, this studio, for one episode. It's not time. It's actually one episode.
So if we do,
never finish this episode, we're gonna have to go.
we make this episode 4 hours long.
Right,
We've
after
got
the
things-
break.
Things to do, guys.
Yeah, it's fair.
We've got to find a bottle opener.
Beer not to drink.
Well, that's a good segue. We do have beer with breaking to do, so
We
if
do.
you wouldn't mind getting us out of it.
Folks, thanks for listening, of course. Thanks for being with us through the winter break. We know that obviously maybe F1 is not to the front of everyone's minds like it is for us, but those of you that do stick around throughout these episodes, massively appreciated. There are so many of you now. We hope to be even bigger and better for the whole 2025 season. We will be back midweek, of course, for another episode. If you'd like to chat to us more, Discord, the link's in the description. Patreon, where I told you get more content there as well. You get the whole back catalogue. So everything we've ever created, you get by joining up. You can follow us on social media, Late Breaking F1, or you can watch this fancy studio that we're in on YouTube, Late Breaking F1. That's all for now. We'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, I've been Samuel Sage.
I've been Ben Hocking.
And I've been Harry Eid.
And remember, keep breaking late.